Well, you're probably rolling. You came back. Thanks for coming back. We missed you. Here at The Real Story, yes, I am Daniel Hapney. That's who I am. You know, let's see. I used to know one that said something, I am who I am, I'm not who I'm not, and people who know that are the happiest lot. So here we have The Real Story for you. This is where you get stuff that the major media likes to brush aside. I always say that the TV doesn't cover the news, they cover up the news. Do you get that? Does it make sense? I'm a contrarian. That's the way I see it a lot of times. You know, I'm lied to, and when I go and ferret out the truth, they go, oh, don't look over there, you know, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. So what do we have for you tonight? Tonight, just so you remember, I don't think it's the first time, because there was Santa Ana, we've got Mexico invading our country. You say, gee, could that really be happening? Had it happened a while ago, a couple of years, is it still happening now? What's this whole Mexican drug thing? What's this border thing? Why is it that Arizona has to keep residents, United States citizens, 80 miles away from the border, So here we have for you. Let's get a little piece so you don't think it's just me. Here's some little news pieces. Here's evidence of the Mexican military coming across our border.
Turning now to our border with Mexico, there is new evidence tonight concerning Mexican military incursions across that border into this country. We've reported here on many of the incidents over the past. Tonight, we report just how serious and how widespread those threats are, as KCY now reports some of the armed Mexican military and police officers crossing that border are smuggling everything from drugs to illegal aliens.
In July 2006, Border Patrol agents observed a Mexican police vehicle escort 5 people to a gate on the All-American Canal near Calexico, California, on the U.S. side of the border. The 5 illegal aliens were apprehended by U.S. authorities, while the police vehicle returned across the border. It's just one of 20 incidents involving armed Mexican military or law enforcement officers illegally crossing our southern border in 2006, according to documents obtained by the conservative group Judicial Watch under the Freedom of Information Act.
There's been a history of incursions by both Mexican military and police officers into the United States, often armed, and that these incursions are intentional, that the Mexican military and police are entering the United States for purposes other than pursuing bad guys.
The Department of Homeland Security document reports 253 incursions by Mexican military or police between 1996 and 2006, including incidents of Mexican military helicopters entering U.S. airspace. Not counted as an incursion, but rather a Mexican military encounter, is this January 2006 incident in Hudspeth County, Texas, which we've previously reported. Now, for the first time, we have video of the high-speed pursuit that preceded the encounter. Texas public safety officers chased a Cadillac Escalade and 2 other vehicles near the Rio Grande. One of the vehicles escaped across the border. Another became stuck in the river, whereas these photos show men in fatigues unloaded bales of marijuana under the protection of a Humvee armed with a .50 caliber machine gun. The Escalade's driver escaped, but the SUV was seized, and it contained nearly 1,500 pounds of marijuana. At the time, Homeland Security Secretary Michael Chertoff said this.
I think to create the image that somehow there is a deliberate effort by the Mexican military to cross the border would be really to traffic in, you know, kind of scare tactics. I don't think that we have a serious problem with official incursions.
Some Border Patrol agents have told CNN the threat from well-armed Mexican military and police officers working with smugglers is both real and serious. Neither the Mexican Embassy nor the Department of Homeland Security returned our calls seeking comment on Mexican military incursions. Judicial Watch says it hopes to have details of more recent incursions within a few weeks. Lou?
Well, good for Judicial Watch and for taking the initiative. And my God, what in the world is this Secretary of Homeland Security thinking? Michael Chertoff sounds like a precious, deluded, naive fool saying things like that about the border and Mexico. I mean, what is he thinking about?
Have no idea what he's thinking about, Lou, but it does not square with the reality that is evidenced on the border by these documents and by what we hear from Border Patrol agents and what we've been hearing for years. It's really dangerous down there, and the Mexican military in many cases just does not respect the United States border.
And the Department of Homeland Security is operating more like a diplomatic arm than a law enforcement or a national defense agency. It is a disgrace the way it has been managed, the way it is organized, and the way it is functioning, and an absolute insult to the men and women who are serving the nation in uniform, protecting our borders, working in customs, border enforcement. I mean, my gosh, I mean, it's just a disgrace. And if Congress is to take up anything in this new year, it ought to be how these fools have managed and mismanaged this department. Casey, thank you very much. Casey Wine.
Now, I didn't mention the helicopter flights, did I, and all that? But here you go. Here's the Mexican army doing a little standoff on our border. Once again, the military in our country, and you're worried about Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda. You know what I mean? The more you look at 9/11, the more you see the CIA ran it. Not some guys in caves. Now they get to move, what, heroin again? Yeah, isn't that what they grow in Afghanistan? So anyway, here's the governor of Arizona telling the people that they can't, you know, that she's like, hey, the federal government says my people can't even go in my own state. Don't believe me. It's not me talking. This is north of Tucson. Here you go.
2 weeks ago, I met with President Obama. He promised that we would get word from his administration on what they were going to do to secure the border. Well, we finally got the message. These signs calling our desert an active drug and human smuggling area. These signs warning people of danger and telling them to stay away. I'm 80 miles away from the border and only 30 miles away from Arizona's capital. This is an outrage. Washington says our border is as safe as it has ever been. Does this look safe to you? What is our country coming to? We will not surrender any part of Arizona. We need to stand up and demand action. Washington is broken, Mr. President. Do your job. Secure our borders. Arizona and the nation are waiting.
So why don't we put a warning sign in Sharon or maybe Canton? Hey, don't travel in Canton or Brockton because right now there's drug running and kidnapping and people being murdered. But we've got money to go bomb Libya and call it humanitarian. When will you figure out that criminals took over part of this show, huh? When will you figure out that it's bankers and eugenicists and drugs dealers? Maybe that fluoride's working. And if you think the fluoride's working, don't forget to write a thank you letter to the Sharon Board of Health. So here you go. Here's a picture. This is, just so you know what's happening with open borders, this is from Mr. D's. Okay, here's a little video. It's a quick one. Mexican incursions. Once again, a little bit of, you know, this is off of Lou Dobbs, and thank you, Lou and company, just to show you that it's not just me.
Startling new evidence tonight of just how widespread corruption is within Mexican law enforcement. 2 Mexican police officials are under arrest in the kidnapping and killing of a wealthy businessman's son. And tonight, reports of a brazen Mexican military incursion into this country, this time holding one of our border agents at gunpoint. Casey Wyan reports.
Mexico's legislature observed a moment of silence Monday in honor of the 14-year-old son of wealthy retailer Alejandro Marti. The boy was found dead in this Mexico City neighborhood 2 months after he was kidnapped for ransom. Authorities have 3 suspects in custody, 2 of them members of Mexican police forces. It's the latest challenge to President Felipe Calderón's effort to rid Mexico's law enforcement of the pervasive influences of drug cartels, human traffickers, and kidnapping gangs.
The police are irreparably corrupt, and that corruption is not confined to Mexico, but it's spilling over into the United States as the cartels sometimes use law enforcement agents to help in their trafficking efforts.
In fact, Lou Dobbs tonight has learned Mexican military or law enforcement agents have illegally crossed the United States border 42 times since October. The latest incident occurred Sunday night south of Tucson, Arizona. According to the local Border Patrol union, a Tucson sector Border Patrol agent was held at gunpoint by the Mexican military last night south of Ajo. Mexican military personnel crossed over the border and pointed rifles at him. Backup units arrived from the Ajo Border Patrol station, and the Mexican military personnel eventually returned to Mexico. A Border Patrol spokesman confirms the incident took place and says it is investigating.
I know, what do you follow it up with? You follow it up with breaking news. There was a jailbreak down in Mexico. Let me think. Corrupt government. Boy, do governments usually get corrupt? Is it the norm for governments to become corrupt? Should I ask you about your government?
An international manhunt tonight for 11 prisoners who escaped from a Mexican prison. Interpol says the 11 are the most dangerous of more than 50 prisoners who broke out. Now, this escape was allegedly staged by Mexican drug cartel members, and it was caught on tape. Newly released security video shows the inmates being freed while the guards stood by and watched. Casey Wyan reports.
A convoy of vehicles arrives before dawn at the state prison in Zacatecas, central Mexico, Saturday. Lights flashing, they appear to be law enforcement officers. But Mexico's Attorney General says the men are working for a drug cartel. And as security camera images indicate, they apparently met no resistance from prison guards, and in some cases even seemed to be helped by them, as they moved to free 53 inmates. Here, two prison guards watching the television set stand by as inmates enter their room and gently brush them aside. One inmate is apparently wearing an Oakland Raiders jersey. Another covers the camera with a blanket. This camera shows 5 men dressed as Mexican federal police passing an empty counter, then returning with a long line of prisoners freed from their cells. Mexican authorities say many of the 53 released inmates are drug cartel suspects.
We have indications that the custodians and authorities at the prison may have been complicit with a group of criminals. For us, it is clear that this operation was perfectly planned and relied on the buying off of people, since it only lasted 5 minutes and not a single gunshot was fired.
But 23 guns were stolen from the prison during the caper. The Mexican government is offering a reward of 1 million pesos, or about $77,000, for the capture of each inmate, and 3 times that for each of the cartel members who orchestrated the prison break.
We emitted an orange level alert with Interpol so that we can conduct an international search for the fugitives, with special attention to the 11 most dangerous ones.
The prison director and more than 40 guards on duty during the escape are in custody while authorities investigate. Prison breaks are nothing new in Mexico. Chapo Guzman, the nation's most wanted drug lord, escaped from prison in 2001, reportedly by hiding in the back of a laundry truck in a laundry bag. But the latest escape may be the clearest sign yet that the Mexican government is nowhere near victory in its war on drug cartels. Kitty.
Certainly a shocking tape. Thanks very much, Casey Wyan.
So yeah, we can get people out of jail. Red Rover, send those criminals on over. It's like playing that game when you're a kid. Okay, here we go. This is just so you know, they fly over your country too.
Mr. Speaker, U.S. Border Patrol agents have spotted yet another Mexican military helicopter incursion into Texas. That makes 3 times these helicopters have crossed the border into America this year that we know of. On Saturday, another Mexican military helicopter was in Texas, hovering near the Romel Miguel Alemán International Bridge. 2 other times this year, Mexican helicopters were photographed in Star and Zapata counties in Texas. Now, these Mexican military incursions are becoming routine. What are they doing here? We don't know. Has our government protested this violation of international law? No one is talking. Our own government seems to be blissfully silent about these incursions. That's why I'm asking Homeland Security Secretary Napolitano for some answers. The federal government is MIA on our borders. Our government ought to spend less time protesting states like Arizona trying to protect their citizens from border violence and start getting some answers from Mexico about their military helicopters flying into the United States. And that's just the way it is. I yield back.
Mexican helicopters in my country? I thought we protect our airspace. I thought we guard our border. I thought Al-Qaeda was coming. El Qaeda. Yeah, I thought that whole fear fake thing was working for you.